Afternoon. Do you want to wait a couple minutes?
No.
Oh, let's go. Let's start. Do it.
Yeah.
Ready. Is our camera on? Oh, perfect.
Happy Monday.
Hey, Monday. Good evening, everybody. It is 5:32 PM, and for those of you who would like to stand for the Pledge of Allegiance, please do so. I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America, to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice. All right, good evening. It is 5:32 PM. Town of Silverton, I call this meeting to order. Roll call, please.
Present.
Mr. Wakefield?
Here.
Here.
Here. Perfect. Do we have any staff or board revisions to the agenda?
We do have one revision. Included in the consent agenda is now the Colorado Energy Office Impact Accelerator intergovernmental agreement. That came to us late last week. And just as a reminder, this is for our transfer station project. We'll be looking at both policy and transfer station upgrades.
Ooh, that's exciting. Okie dokie.
So small edit on your agenda. It's correct in the resolution, but 7B is resolution rescinding Sioux municipal fire restriction, not the.
Needs to order. Thank you, sir. Perfect. Thank you so much. We're moving on to public comment. Anyone? Nope. Okay. Anyone online? Would anyone online like to make a public comment? Please state your name. You have 3 minutes. Seeing no hands raised, we will close the public comment and move on. Perfect. Moving on to number 4, consent agenda. Any highlights, any excitement?
Yeah, I'll just note that in the agenda, you'll see our June 2026 financial statement, and we'll goes in depth with the finance committee next Monday, the 17th. And Anne's here to speak about the Anvil block party.
So Tuesday, the 25th, I'm proposing that we host a block party in Anvil that doubles as an Anvil Townhome open house. It'll be an event for the entire community to celebrate completion of the townhomes. And then just combine that with welcoming the new residents to the neighborhood and just celebrating the neighborhood. And it also could be a great opportunity to introduce the new housing director to the community. And yeah, I'm just here for any questions or comments. I would love if the board participated and volunteered and either grilled hot dogs or attended. But yeah, any questions?
You still need help?
I have you signed up as bartender.
Anyone want to crack some beers with me?
Yeah. Grill.
Sign
Not
me
gonna
up.
be there, put us to work.
Great, okay.
Okay,
Sounds good.
think you've got a volunteer staff.
Thank you, everybody.
Way to go.
Okay.
All right. Any other fun or exciting highlights from the consent agenda? Anne, thank you so much.
I can stay if you'd like.
No.
You want to make a motion for the consent?
Oops,
agenda?
sorry, I'll make a motion to approve the consent agenda.
Second.
All right. We have first, second, and third.
Steve Huber,
Yes.
Brown,
Yes.
Patterson. Yes. Wakefield.
Yes.
Yes. I'm sorry, I didn't hear you. Right, moving on, staff reports.
So yeah, just to highlight here for everyone. So since we are moving forward with the CEO grant, our first step is going to be to put out an RFP for a consultant to help with the pay-as-you-throw policy work. So first step, and we'll be moving through that this winter. And if that's successful, the remaining funding from the grant will be available to us, and that's going to allow us to make purchases, transfer station equipment purchases, and improvements either to the existing location or prepping a new location for the transfer station. So that's coming up soon. I did want to, while everyone's here, see if you have availability next Monday, August 17th session. So, and if you don't have an immediate answer, I'll follow up tomorrow with an email. But Deanne has the information from the Colorado Tourism Office about Silverton's visitor profile, and would like to go over all that information with everyone, especially in light of where we are with prepping our 2027 budget.
I'm available.
That's Monday, the 17th.
Monday, the 17th.
That's our anniversary, so.
Okay.
And
Happy anniversary.
Great in the last couple of years. We need to
Yeah.
cut that out.
Okay. Well, since right off the bat, we've got two that aren't available. I'll reach out to DM for some additional dates, hopefully early September.
Do you do it just during the next meeting, like as a presentation?
I'll ask you.
Okay. Put a question mark.
And and also just to note that one of the items that will be coming before the board here in the near future is addressing utility delinquent accounts and how we want to go about implementing a minimum payment program that fits our communities. We'll be working with Clay to review options and input that we have received from the Finance Committee. So that will be coming before you soon.
Perfect. Okay. Anything else? We're gonna move on to, we're gonna skip 6, such as presentations, proclamations, go straight to 7 business items. 7A. Elizabeth.
Yes, so back in April, the board adopted resolution 2026 that was a resolution aligning fire restrictions at Mullis Lake with adjacent public lands. And in the event of a discrepancy between BLM and Forest Service fire restrictions, Mullis fire regulations would align with the most restrictive regulation. And the intent of that resolution was to provide greater clarity for law enforcement, the campground host enforcing fire restrictions, and dealing with the lag that can happen when the town comes out of fire restrictions, or when the county or Forest Service comes out of fire restrictions and the town needs to meet and pass a resolution to rescind restrictions, and that was creating lost revenue at Mullis Lake. So resolution 2026-08 didn't fully solve the problem. So what we'd like to propose is that we rescind that resolution, and what we will do going forward would then be Mullis Lake restrictions would just align with the town's restrictions for outdoor spaces within its jurisdictional limits. But in future resolutions, instead of putting in language where the board has to meet to rescind fire restrictions, those restrictions could be lifted based on the receipt of a written letter from the sheriff acting as fire marshal requesting that those restrictions be changed. Any questions about the existing resolution or the need to rescind it?
This is both like a resolution about Molus, but also like staff direction to include this in future.
Exactly, yeah.
Because they closed the closer field office that they're a part of, and now we're
Right.
Gunnison field office, and there are still fires over there. So even though we're gonna move into stage one.
Yeah.
They would stay in stage two.
Yes.
We have to adhere to what the Gunnison field office says, so.
And this is a better, more streamlined way of doing it.
Yeah, that should, not only address, I think once and for all, the lag that we sometimes have with Molus. But also allow for us to, immediately be in alignment with, San Juan County. Since their OEM is, they're the people that are in contact with the Forest Service, with the BLM and the Sheriff's Office. So, for example, for about the last week or so, we've been out of alignment with the county. So, yeah, streamlined and gets us to a point where greater clarity for law enforcement.
Perfect. Right. Any discussion? No? There is a suggested motion or direction on page 115.
I move to adopt resolution 2026-17.
Sorry. Carry on.
Rescinding resolution 2026-08, a resolution declaring fire restrictions at Molus Lake Campground aligned with adjacent public lands.
Second.
Beautiful. Thank you.
Trustee Huber,
Yes.
trustee Brown,
Yes.
trustee Halverson,
Yes.
trustee Wakefield,
Yes.
person Shepherd,
Yes.
Mayor Harper.
Yes. All right, moving on to 7B, resolution 2026-18.
All right. So, and the second part of tonight's conversation about fire restrictions. Yes, San Juan County and the San Juan National Forest Upper Zone came out of stage 2 fire restrictions recently. And it's been recommended based on written direction from the Sheriff's Office that the town conditions warrant that the town follows suit. So this resolution, rescinds stage 2 fire restrictions within town. And this does include that language that we just discussed where, as we'll now be in stage 1 restrictions, when the conditions warrant coming out of stage 1, we can do so based on receiving that written recommendation from the Sheriff's Office.
Without having to pass.
Great.
And we've got Jim, Donovan here. If there are any questions just about, what conditions are like at the moment and, what Jim and the federal managers are seeing that warrants coming out of stage 2.
Jim, I have a question.
Yes.
Is this like gonna be like a back and forth thing? Or are we gonna do you see a long-term future where we're in stage 1 and don't have to go back into stage 2? What's that looking like?
It is looking like this summer, it's going to be a bit of
Back and forth.
a yo-yo. But we will probably stay in stage 1 for certainly the near future. The monsoons are forecasted to kick back in. So for Silverton and South, we are aligned for stage 1. Sounds like you guys just are approving that. To the north, since there's 2 still active fires, Gold Mountain Fire and Elk Fire, both the BLM, Forest Service, and the counties are all staying in stage 2, but that makes total sense because they have a lot of resources that they're putting to it, so they need to stay in stage 2. The challenge we have is BLM is always just trying to align the federal agencies can be a challenge. We always try to do our best, but this year it's just one of those where it's really not in the cards. So it will be up to BLM to kind of communicate that stage 2 information. But we from San Juan County, U.S. Forest Service are all aligned to the south. So it's a version of your question, but
Yeah.
The probability that we will stay in stage 2 for stage 1 for a while, but there is a good chance we'll also bump back into stage 2.
Yeah.
Yeah.
A lot of yo-yoing.
Yeah, and that's just the nature of this year. The monsoons are looking good, but it's just not even gonna be enough to catch up. It's going to take us probably a full year of hopefully good precip to kind of get us in some state. And I can, any other questions that folks have on active fires or fire restrictions? Answer those now or let it into all of your other stuff.
I don't think we have any questions.
Great, awesome.
Jim, thank you for all you do.
Absolutely.
Keeping us safe out there. All right. With this, there is a motion that needs to be,
So I'll make a motion 2026-18, a motion or a resolution rescinding stage 2 municipal fire restrictions and implementing stage 1 fire restrictions within the municipality.
Second.
thank you. Roll call, please.
Yes.
Yes.
Albertson? Yes.
Yes.
Yes. Thank you so much. All right, 7C, resolution 2026-19. John.
So Public Works, one of the things I've identified, and it's in your packet, that there's use of fire hydrants for contractors and stuff like that. So one of those ways to capture that revenue is to purchase fire hydrant meters, and then we charge for our water. And so I went ahead and purchased a couple meters and kind of went back and forth on fees and get, what all that takes. But this, when we have a contractor in, whether it's a brownfield project or something like that, we can rent this meter out. It's a $500 deposit. It's $400 a month for them to keep it. And we can prorate that if it's a 2-week stint or 3-week or whatever. And then they would get charged 17 cents per gallon on water used on top of that. So this is actually making some money instead of losing money and just letting that resource literally go down the street. So anyway, I purchased 2 of these with the gate valves, and I brought one for show and tell for utilities.
Are they being used? What's going on here? Where's the show and tell?
Heavy. I didn't. And anyway, I thought this was a good opportunity to have you amend the fee schedule so we can start using these. I don't know if it'll happen this year, but we will have them for future use.
I think it's smart.
Yeah, same.
And we talked through some exemptions, right? So fire department
Yeah.
would be exempt from using this, obviously. Yeah.
I don't think Gilbert would be happy with me.
I just want, it says fire hydrants. I just didn't want anyone to be, where,
No, that's.
yeah, yeah.
Great, there's a motion on page 122 of your packet.
Make a motion to approve resolution 2026-19, a resolution of town of Silverton, Colorado, amending the town fee schedule to include fire hydrant meter fees.
Second.
A first and a second.
Mr. Huber?
Yes.
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 Wakefield? Chairperson Schiffner?
Yes.
Yes.
Thanks,
Thank
John.
you.
Yeah.
Moving on, 7D, updated public works on-call policy. Throwing it back to you.
Right back to me. So the on-call policy now is, I have somebody on call Friday, Saturday and Sunday, and that's it. And then I'm the one on call throughout the week and everything. So this is like a two position thing. So it actually frees me up a little bit for my personal life, but it also makes the guys, they get a little bit more money at the end of the day, at the end of the year. And it gives them a little bit more ownership in operating the system throughout the week. In the evenings, I will still take the phone throughout regular shift, 6:30 to 5 o'clock. And then hand off to them I've been watching the budget and Elizabeth put in previous years for our overtime and it fluctuates, and that is because of what we do in the wintertime. Plowing or non-existent plowing. So we do have the funds. It is a little bit of a hit, but it's well within reason for the public works budget. And this change would go into effect, and we do from Wednesday to Wednesday. It's a lot cleaner when you switch phones in the middle of the week, and worked really good for 20 years in a different municipality. So I think it will work very well here also.
Like it.
Right.
Any questions, comments?
Sounds very good.
Okay. Anyone like to make a motion?
Move to approve the updated Public Works on-call policy.
Second,
Trustee Huber?
yes.
Trustee Brown? Patterson?
Yes.
Yes.
Yes. All right. Mr. Clayton, we 7E, Special Improvement District Update. Sir.
Thank you, Mr. Mayor. So just to update briefly on where we're at with the funding, and as we are coming close to the proposal of the authorizing ordinance, the bank is asking, well, there's two things going on. One is that the bank is asking for a reserve fund, and I've been in talks with the owners, and they're going to be able to put together the amount in the reserve fund in the form of prepayment that the bank is looking for. The second piece of this is that the bank is asking for a moral obligation from the town. This is fairly typical, and just for the BOT's education, a moral obligation is a non-binding voluntary pledge by the town to make up any shortfalls in the district's bond revenue if that were to fail. It carries no legal enforcement, but it's more of like it's an honor system thing, but it does affect the town's ability in the future to make voluntary pledges if they've failed to fulfill a voluntary pledge. If like a grant, for example, came along or that had matching funds or something like that, that required moral obligation, it could affect the future. But that's pretty attenuated there. So it's more like reputational damage than anything. But it does serve as a separate form of leverage for the Bank of the San Juans. And so between those two things, I think, the one is the owners is going to be on the owners, which they have indicated they're going to come up with the cash roughly between 125,000 and 150,000, but that'll also be used in reserves. And so that means that if this is financed and we go forward with the project, it would take over a year of non-payments before any moral obligation was triggered, during which time we could, the fix is to lien whatever property and foreclose and sell whatever property was causing the shortfall. And so with those two things in place, I don't think there's much has changed, other than there is going to be some separate language if the board decides to commit to the moral obligation. There will be some sort of clause and or separate document that will go along with the agreement with the bank and or the authorizing ordinance. And so for tonight's discussion, we're just asking the board to consider authorizing moral obligation. If that is, of course, everyone's still intending to proceed with the project, and then direct staff, myself, to execute whatever draft of a document and or the additional clause into the authorizing ordinance based on your discussion of the moral obligation. We need to put that language into for sure the contract with the bank, but it would be probably smart to get it into the authorizing ordinance as well. Depending your questions, discussion, that's the update. Everything else seems to be going fine. The bank is going to still seems very optimistic and happy to fund this. This isn't like I said, this is not an uncommon request.
Okay, thank you much. Anyone would like to kick off questions? I see a whole bunch of smiles and nods. Ron,
I don't have any questions yet.
you have no questions yet.
Yes.
Oh.
The last meeting when the bond council presented, is this something new?
It's not new as far as the financing goes or the effect of the bonds and all the information that you received previously. The only new part is the explicit moral obligation request from the bank, but it doesn't affect any of the terms, conditions, or any of the effects or lack thereof of the bonding mechanism. This is it's kind of, I don't want to say implied, but because the SID is the town's, and even though the bonds, we're not required to pay outside of the revenue of the SID, which is why this is a popular mechanism to do this sort of project. It is still, the SID is still it's run by the town. It's a town entity, more or less run by the BOT. And they just want this explicit assurance that the town isn't gonna let the SID default without taking some action. We also have put explicitly in there that we are going to take immediate action for non-payment of revenue per individual property, and we were going to do that anyway. So I feel like more or less this is a kind of an explicit statement of something that was previously implied.
I mean, it's not benign. It does affect if that worst case scenario happens, or, it can affect us in terms of our credit rating or raising.
No, nothing like that. It's the same protection as the bond. It's non-contractual. The town is not financially obligated. The town could choose not to fulfill its moral obligation, and there's really nothing the bank could do about it. It sounds funny that the bank would want it, but that's how it works.
So there's no implication in terms of any other lenders or any other, there's absolutely no downside if we don't fulfill the moral obligation.
The projected downside would just be reputational. So if we were ever to be in another situation where there's a request for a moral obligation, and the reputation is that the town doesn't fulfill its moral obligations, then possibly a future lender requiring a moral obligation would be hesitant.
I think that's a question for.
How much?
That's a great question.
How much does the reserve cover?
A year. 1 year.
It's going to cover 1 year.
Okay,
That the landowners are paying. That's what
yeah,
it's reserved.
that's what, yeah.
And that has to be paid like before anything happens, right? Like that reserve is, yeah.
Correct. Yes.
I think that your statement is right, though.
Yeah, I mean, if this
Dave, like
repeats
there
itself,
is some impact, and
There
there's
is
not
no
this legal direct financial
This is
impact,
where I
but
wanna
there's
get-
some impact.
This is where I want to get the story straight.
Right.
We had the bond, and I'm sorry, but we had the bond council in last meeting. This wasn't brought up. We keep on pushing this further on, saying there's no risk essentially to the town in any of this, and I believe there is a risk. I just want that to be out there, because we repeat the SID next year or 2 years down the road, and we want to repeat the same process, and somehow, we're not able to fulfill a moral obligation for other long-term liabilities that we're carrying right now. This does actually have an impact down the road. I'm not saying we don't go forward with it, but I just want, everyone to be honest and clear about it. It does.
Yeah,
carry
no, Doctor, you're correct. Like I said, there is definite possibility of impact. If we were to fail on our moral obligation, it would have a distinct reputational damage, possibly severe reputational damage to the town. It's not something you want to just flippantly enter into, knowing that you might break it. If we go forward with a moral obligation, it should be the board's decision that they have every intent of fulfilling that obligation.
Which it'll be guaranteed to be fulfilled for a year.
Yes, that reserve fund, yeah.
Any year is typical for these reserves?
Well, the bank, we don't know. The bank has it's just what the bank's term is, and they seem to think that that's their typical, and so it's really up to the individual lenders. We got some, fairly positive terms with them. The biggest of which is the callable loan, which means that there will be no penalties for prepayments, and so this might be just one of their ways of getting extra leverage from the town for those favorable terms. I don't know, but this is where the negotiation went between the bank and bond counsel and the town.
This is more unrelated. My comments are more related to the bigger picture of the, current financial position of the town. We're going to be in the next 6 months. We're going to be next year. What our plans are for future developments and being able to raise debt if we ever need to. So it's extremely important that we don't, bail on a moral obligation because it affects you as we move down the road in the next few years. So this is pulled in the whole conversation of our financial position with everything else that's going on. It's not isolated.
You're absolutely correct. Sure. And this is essentially telling the bank wants our assurances that we are not going to squelch on our loans. We are going to pay up. And this is part of the investment into the community. And essentially, a lot of this is just boilerplate, correct? What the bank is asking, municipalities do this all the time.
Yes, sir.
From what I
Moral
understand.
obligations are very common.
Yeah.
Have we ever entered into one before?
Not since I've been here have we had the need to, or the opportunity has not come up.
I mean, I think it exists in the context of we don't have an explicit financial obligation to this debt, so that they're
Yeah, well, just in terms of frequency,
right.
It's not a frequent occurrence to have to enter into something like this
And it's also because this is technically a third party, but also technically us at the same time.
Yeah.
So.
I think they're very common in the bond revenue world.
Ron, you got anything?
The only question I would have is if we would default on this with the moral obligation, and next year we need to buy a vehicle, will that affect our ability to get a loan?
I can't speak to that directly. I would say for a loan that size, given our historical relationships with a lot of financial institutions, no. But if we had to get a loan that also involved a moral obligation versus just a budgeted item out of the general fund, then yes. And so it's really circumstantial. We've never had to do that with vehicles before. Typically they're budgeted and funded. And even if we're just paying, if we're paying a monthly payment beyond a year, then, we do our annual appropriations clause, et cetera. But I can't say that it would or it wouldn't. I think it would be very dependent on the circumstances. But I think that I don't think it would affect smaller day-to-day purchases and operations, but it definitely would affect larger lending opportunities.
Okay, thank you.
Which is why the SID And everyone included in this, it's so important that this is funded. Well, if anyone has any other comments or questions, there is a motion on page 130, 129, 130,
1:30.
according to my notes. Elizabeth, do you have anything else to add?
Yeah, I'll just add that, this inclusion of the moral obligation, didn't raise any eyebrows with our bond counsel, so I'm going to support that this is standard in the bond world.
Thank you. Anyone? Yeah, absolutely.
I move to accept and include a moral obligation to the Bank of the San Juans to make up for any shortfalls in Eighth and Bluff Special Improvement District Special Assessment revenue.
Do we have a second?
Second.
Roll call, please.
Mr. Huebner,
Yes.
Brown.
Yes.
Mr. Robertson,
Yes.
Mr. Wakefield,
Yes.
Mayor Jim Schiffner,
Yes.
Harper.
Yes. You passed. Okey dokey. Thank you, Clayton.
Yes, sir.
Moving on to discussions, direction items. I don't think we have anything there.
There, no.
Oh. So 9 committee reports. I think we've got one committee report. Kicking it over to you.
Yes, so at this past month's Region 9 Economic Development District and Southwest Council of Governments Board meeting, one of the big topics was our region's area agency on aging voted to relinquish their designation due to ongoing compliance issues and issues with some of their directors. So Region 9 has the first right of refusal to take AAA under its umbrella and direct AAA activities. So it was a hot topic, a lot of discussion, and a lot of discussion revolving around, if not Region 9, then who else would take up the area agency on aging? And I should note that here in Silverton, AAA helps to fund Carrie at the first position at the Silverton Senior Center and supports programming. But so what really caught my attention is that grants with EDA now allow congressionally directed spending dollars to be used as match. So, there's this potential scenario where we could go after an EDA grant to help fund the wastewater treatment plant improvements and use our congressionally directed spending as grant match. And just a reminder, our CDS award is about 2.3 million. And it's a 60-40 grant match. So, that 2.3 matches would be a huge win for us and allow us to leverage a pretty significant grant through EDA. And so at least for the next, he indicated about 2.5 years, the EDA will be pretty flush with grant funding. So really excited to explore that more. And, perhaps, if this all comes into play and, we would be successful with an application, leveraging the CDS and EDA to really knock out a chunk of our wastewater treatment plant funding. Cool. So very exciting, and I'll, as I learn more, I'll pass it along. And those are the big items from Region 9.
Great news.
Wonderful. We don't have anything else, do we?
We did, there's also there are a couple of other items. The other thing that really stood out to me is Region 9 has developed a housing needs assessment online tool. And which I think could be great for, a community like us where, going out for a housing needs assessment can be a pricey endeavor. So excited to, as that comes more online, to test that out, see if it works for us.
Any thing in the discussion regarding AAA with I guess, food support, commercial kitchen, sort of a more of an enterprise level, how could we fund a multi-purpose commercial kitchen?
Yeah, so not specifically as part of the conversation we had with Region 9. But what I can say is that I think there is some interest in, so Carrie's position is an anomaly for AAA, where she is has been housed under AAA. And all other, in our region, senior center directors, et cetera, they get funding from AAA, but again, aren't housed directly under them. And so there've been some very early stage discussions in partnership with the county about seeing if there's still with support from AAA funding to bring Carrie under, say, a contract with the town. And all that said, I think as a part of those conversations, we could, expand that into perhaps a bigger conversation about, commercial kitchen, just expanding services for our seniors.
Yeah, that'd be good. I think great idea.
So yes, the next step specifically is to meet with the county and just figure out, how potentially bringing Carrie's role directly under the town, again, with funding support from AAA might look, and then where that can be a launching pad for bigger discussions.
Yeah.
That is it for Region 9.
And we didn't have any other,
I don't think so. We were light
I
on
don't think we did.
committees, but we'll have quite a few next meeting.
All right. And in the agenda is future agenda items, open discussion. Does anyone have anything they'd like to add? Anything they'd like to discuss or kick around?
To sort of the idea of standardizing or Kendall Mountain property permits the weekend, reserving events and so forth, and trying to, I think we talked about this a month or two ago, to have events that can be centralized, in that area. We also talked about the funding where those events would have a fee and they'd be able to, have a discount based on any fundraising they brought back into town. Are we still having those discussions or?
Yeah, he has been out for a couple of weeks, but he's back. He should be back tomorrow, so we can
Okay.
start talking with him.
This is planning for the years going on, as we're planning for 2027. How's the time to?
Yeah, definitely. And what I can say, Steve, he's been back east visiting family, but still very much working. And he did say that the Mile High Jeep Club did vote and they approved holding the next event in Silverton at Kendall. So yeah, so great news. And next steps, right, will be figuring out so that's what the town's ask is going to be as far as them contributing to, local nonprofit or somehow back to the town.
That, in my sense, that should be a boilerplate for everybody. So then, example, I've been approached around town for over a month about Hard Rock and, being right in the midst of everything. And some people aren't really happy with the number of the things that went on there. I'm not sure they're going to come and voice their opinions or not. But it just seems like such a natural fit, again, to follow the boilerplate agreement. Everybody goes over there. They can work their way down from the fee. And it's a win-win for both sides.
Yeah, and actually Hard Rock with their scholarship program is kind of a good example for us to.
That comes out of a separate organization though. I understand it.
Right, not exact, like that's that requirement, but an example of event philanthropy that, if we bring, some suggestions to the board, that could, kick off that conversation anyway.
And it's just everything in general, it seems like it's utilize as much as we can to generate revenue on the assets that we have. We're gonna need it, I think.
Yeah, I'll second it on the Hard Rock feedback. I have also been approached around town about. Yeah, just with some issues and complaints, so.
Okay. Along those lines, way back when I mentioned, some of it is in this format, but like a P&L for the Kendall operation.
Mhm.
It was sort of out, I think Jimmy mentioned a couple of years ago is attempted, but.
That is correct.
You know, this whole idea of the permit and so forth and consolidating over there fits under that idea of the P&L, which would also give us ideas of the total operational costs throughout the year, just not for the winter time.
Mhm. Right.
And since that should be that should be really leveraged as a revenue generating asset, we should take a full picture of it and say, this is what we want to budget for a year's worth of Kendall Mountain business. It's hard to do that without having the numbers and operational costs.
What it's worth, and I would like to add this, Hard Rockers is a legacy event, founded here back in the early seventies. They also do donate to Silverton Mountain Rescue quite heavily. So they do participate and they do donate and they do give back.
Hard Rockers.
Yes.
Yeah.
A little on the ultra world too, just as Hard Rock wound down, UTMB, I don't know if you're all familiar with that.
Mhm.
Which is the biggest racing in the world.
Mhm.
They basically had an uprising in their town against the 7 days of taking over the town. Citizens have just basically said they have enough, so they are intending on scaling down the race in general because of the impact it's having on local communities. Financially, they want to leverage that, but at the same time, they get a lot of pushback from the community in Chamonix. It's a different world, but it's not really all that different in terms of the environment.
We can discuss it. All right, anything else? Lindsay, no? Okay, Ron? Carl?
We are on a record pace.
We are on record pace. I'm not sure if that's good or bad. Carl, Holly, nothing?
I got nothing.
All right.
Good, because I don't think we missed anything.
Yeah.
Having a conversation.
Okay, we'll go to public comment. We'll open back up public comment. We do not have anyone here in the audience this evening. However, we have two online. If our two guests would like to make a public comment, please raise your hand now. You have 3 minutes. I'll give to the count of 3. All right, don't see any hands raised. We will close public comment and we will close and adjourn our meeting. What time is it?
6:20.
20.
Okay, we adjourn the meeting at 6:20 PM. Thank you, everyone, for attending.
And thank you,
You, Mr.
Don't even need a laptop.
Mr. Mayor.
Don't even need a laugh. I'm better with